series presented by Maximum Acceleration, the professionals coaching company. We started the series back in October of last year with the intent of bringing a community of people together who have a desire and passion to grow their business and improve their skills. And we've created on purpose kind of a community of learning here. And obviously we've covered a wide range of topics in the series as we've been going. And I'm very excited about today's program because a rare opportunity to get a true expert at top-of-mind awareness marketing and how to create an effective strategy for communicating with those who can benefit from your message and the service that you want to provide as an originator. Of course, one quick reminder, you typically get a better audio experience if you go ahead and call in with today's program using the information that's in the control panel to the right side of your screen. Go ahead and take just a couple of seconds to toggle that up to telephone and use the unique specific call-in number, access code, and PIN for you to be able to gain access to the program. Also, just another quick reminder, if you open up the plus sign by the questions field, that's where you'll be able to ask questions throughout the program. We will be stopping periodically to answer calls as our presenter can also see those questions with today's program, and then we will be stopping for a Q&A towards the end of the program as well. Of course, if we don't have time to get to all the questions that are asked live in the program, we'll make sure that our team follow up with you after the fact. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with today's program. Today's program is called, bear with me 2 seconds. Today's program is called the Top 7 Strategies to Obtain More Purchase Business. And our presenter today is Mr. Jonas Kruckeberg, who's Vice President of Sales with Top of Mind Networks, but also a very experienced, knowledgeable, and successful originator in his own right. And we have great privilege and honor of him being a true expert at top-of-mind marketing strategies and how to really engage your past clients and create a consistent flow of ongoing purchase leads and business opportunities as a result of how you orchestrate that client retention and follow-up marketing. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of turn the program over to you, Jonas, let you take it from here, and look forward to a great program.
Thanks, Eric. Great intro, man. I appreciate that. I'll go ahead and take over controls again. So before I get going, I just want to let everybody know, my name's Jonas Kruckeberg. I was a former loan officer up until about 6 months ago. I was 9 years in the business and a client of Top of Mind prior to coming over here as their national sales guy, but certainly followed a passion of mine that I love, which is teaching you guys, educating LOs across the nation and traveling, and being able to show some of the strategies and implementation strategies that we have that are absolutely working and absolutely helping people win across the nation. So I've moved up into the world, I guess, with title. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything different. Now VP of Sales for Top of Mind. And I can't wait to show you the things that we are doing, but also things that you can do on your own. You don't necessarily need to have our systems to do these types of things. So just keep that in the back of your mind that don't take this as a sales pitch whatsoever. This is me bringing some passionate features and strategies that I have found that are winning across the nation to you. Okay, and so you can certainly do these on your own going forward. So I don't know how much research you guys have done with us or if you know about our systems, but we're going to cover the entire customer life cycle today. So before we get going, I usually like to do a quick exercise, just a real quick one. And I know I'm not in a live audience right now, so I can't see your faces. I can't see you actually doing this, but I would recommend you try this. I'm not going to ask you to stand up because that's what I would do in a live audience. But if you wouldn't mind, just follow along here for a moment and just raise your hand. If you don't want to raise your hand, raise a pencil, raise your eyebrow, raise something so I can just at least get your attention on this. So, okay, I've got your attention. You've raised your hands or eyebrows or pencils. Let's get going. So for those of you who feel you are effectively communicating, effectively marketing to your past clients, current clients and prospects, and most importantly for this presentation, your realtor partners, you feel you're effectively communicating to all of those folks. Go ahead and lower your hand, eyebrow, or pencil. So if you were in a live audience, you look around and see most people are still having their hands up or are still standing up, depending on what we did, right? Because they're not effectively communicating to all of those folks or effectively marketing. So for those of you that want to learn how to do that and learn how to do it through our systems as well as things that you can do on your own, you want to learn today, go ahead and lower your hand, eyebrow, or pencil. That should pretty much get everybody ready to roll. So I'm going to cover all the stages of the life cycle here, stranger, prospect, in process, client, and raving fan, and try to give you a strategy or two So you're going to try to tally these up to 7 and possibly more strategies to help you obtain more purchase business. So going to give you just pieces to the puzzle. Doesn't mean you need to do every one of these. Hopefully you'll resonate with 1, 2, or more of these items that I'm going to share to you today. And certainly you can always contact me later if you have more questions about it. But hopefully we'll be able to answer those today in your Q&A. So let's get rolling. Stage 1 of the customer life cycle, stranger danger. So this is an article I found back in January, and following this article, we had about 6 months or 5.5 months or so of really good low rates once again. And so this little graph that I'm showing here just didn't seem to fit in quite yet until recently when we saw rates do the opposite, go back up. And so it's telling us in this simple article and many others that have come out since that rates are going to go up, that the refinance business might slow down a little bit, right? According to this graph, it will. So are you firmly planted, both feet in the purchase business? I don't know. So again, if I'm in a live audience, I'm getting interaction from you, I would ask, have you done a purchase transaction in the last 12 or 24 months? Most people are going to say, yes, yes, I get it, roll your eyes, whatever. Okay, so there's a potential referral partner if they're not already one, because you've worked with an agent or 2, of course, with the listing agent, if you've got 2 in this transaction. So there's obviously an opportunity for you. So how can we keep our volume where it's been over the last couple of years? I don't know if any of you have doubled or even tripled your volume from previous years. I know a lot of people have across the nation. So you can't just fall out of bed, bump your head, and have 4 loans in your pipe anymore, it seems like. So we need to work a little harder. So I'm going to show you the first of many strategies in just a moment. But, most of us, we have a database. We have people we've done business with. We also have a potential referral partner that, well, for instance, they have their own sphere of influence, their own past clients, yes? So, okay, so you've done this purchase transaction with an agent. I'm assuming that agent's been in business for a little bit, and they've most likely done a couple or more transactions with clients that you didn't close, clients you didn't have. They were already pre-approved, working with somebody else, whatever the case may be. I know for a fact, because I did this myself, that those agents are not effectively communicating to those clients, and I know for a fact the loan officer that did that transaction is not communicating effectively to them either. So there's a potential opportunity there. So here's the first thing. We have a presentation book meant for a realtor, and it shows off all the things that are available to you and them as a partnership. Co-branded pieces, postcards, alerts, a 5-year client retention program. Now, this is what we offer. Obviously, you can put together your own unique selling proposition of your own, putting together flyers or putting together a booklet or whatever it may be to show them what you do. So I'm going to go meet with that agent that I did a transaction on. I'm going to bring this book, whether it's in my hand or on my laptop or if I'm on a screen share, it's going to be on a presentation. And I'm going to show them the things that I do because I know there's 3, 4, or 5 other LOs lined up outside that door with great rates, great service, a great smile, and possibly a dozen donuts to go with it. That just doesn't work anymore. Cut it. So we've got to be a little more unique. So showing off the things that you do, whether it's programs or systems, whatever, that will be a good start to show them what you do. Okay? So the next thing I'd like to share with you guys is something that will help you dive into their sphere of influence, get into their database of people effectively. Every one of your past clients, or excuse me, every one of your referral partners, I'm assuming, has a client or 2 or a set of people that they truly want to continue doing business with. That would be their top clients, right? You want those people in your database. How can we effectively work with them? First and foremost, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. Add value to the relationship to the agent. How can you add value to that? By adding value to their clients and their relationship with them. How can we do that? Well, we have a strategy called Adopt My Mortgage. Again, anybody can do this on any system or on their own. But this is what I call it. Okay, so when I'm speaking to that agent, have my booklet out, they're intrigued, they're happy, they see this full-color booklet. What else do you do, Jonas? Well, what I'd like to do, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, is I'd like to collect some pertinent information about your top clients that you want to stay in touch with, because I know the agent or the loan officer that did the transaction before is most likely not following up with them. So I want their name, their address, their loan information, and if you don't have that, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, please provide their basic information so I can try to obtain that over time. That's what we do, right? We call, we ask for warm introductions to clients, that kind of thing. So I'm going to ask for their client database. And over the next 30 or so minutes, I'm going to show you what we do to add value to those clients. So getting their information is the first thing. And then I'm going to show you over the next 30 minutes in this presentation what it is we do once you have that info. Fair enough? So let's just hold that carrot out there for a minute or two, or 30, and you'll get to see what we do with this strategy towards the end. So if we're tallying right now, we've got 2 great strategies to obtain more business. Provide them your unique selling proposition in a nice booklet, nice format. Number 2 is go after their sphere of influence. Because wouldn't you say, isn't it fair to say, that the more mortgages you have under your management, the more opportunities you're going to have in the future? Yes? I mean, that's basic. So let's move forward. Stage 2, the customer life cycle. Prospect. I see that there's questions coming in. I'm assuming we're going to do those towards the end, so I'm trying to keep my focus on the slides. We'll try to answer all those questions as we go forward. Stage 2 we call prospect. If I was to walk around your offices right now, would I see some of your desks that look like this? Right? Mine used to. So what do you do when you get a lead or a referral today? Where do you put them? Your LOS, your Outlook, your Gmail, your phone, a piece of paper, a Post-it note? I don't know. But I would suggest you get them in some type of system to follow up with them, because we know with the amount of prospects coming in, 2, 3, 4, 5 a day, 20 a week, whatever it is, we can't follow up with them every day by a phone call. There's just not enough time in the day. Of course, you see the phone right next to all these Post-its. Yes, that would be nice if we had that opportunity. But we've got what? Conditions and underwriting stuff and appraisals and issues that come up so that draw our attention away. So we've got to have them in some type of system. So let's show you what Greg Knight did. Greg Knight's one of my favorite clients out here in California. This guy just embraced this particular strategy within our system. So he used to be a cop. He reestablished himself as a loan officer and then created campaigns, prospect-drip campaigns that were specific to the people that he did business with in the past. He turned a 2011 $10 million origination business into $54 million in 2012, with the majority of that, matter of fact, I think it was 70% purchase business when we were in a refi market. He anticipates doubling that this year with more purchase business, okay? And he's on his way. So how did he do it? You know, without having to go into my dashboard of my system, I'm just going to show you one campaign by a slide. And I know slides may not be as effective, but follow this, please. So I know some of you are going, okay, I've seen this before. I know what a campaign is. Big deal, big whoop. Well, here's the difference, I think, with the content that's delivered. Our theme over here is one-to-one communication on all of our correspondence. So it's all about the client, taking the spotlight off of you and focusing on the end user, the client. And so we'll get to the realtor part in just a moment. But this is a campaign that I would select for, say, a purchase prospect. I put them in my system. I click a drop-down, which takes about 17 seconds. I've timed it. Name, email address, and type of prospect that they are, purchase or refi, and click the appropriate campaign. 17 seconds. If you get 5 leads a day, multiply 17 seconds times 5 quickly. What is that? 105 seconds. Less than, what, 2 minutes to upload this stuff and get them on an appropriate, effective, communicative campaign. So what are we doing here? Over the next 6 months, my campaign will touch them 15 different times by email, and I will be reminded to call them 5 times to disposition them and talk about the content that they receive. But here's the difference. I'm going to hover over number 3 just to give you an example. Getting to know you is an actual survey. So it's a quick email saying, hey, how you doing? Eric, nice to see you. By the way, if you wouldn't mind filling this quick survey out, take about 60 seconds of your time. They click on it. It's engaging them in conversation, number 1, which is huge. You get that feedback immediately. Now, of course, you can use our system, but there's plenty of other survey systems out there. Survey Monkey or something, I think, is a really good one. It's free. You can send these surveys out to them, and the feedback is immediate. That's intense, getting to know them right away. Some of you recall, of course, page 5 of the 1003. You know, and there really isn't a page 5, right? But there's a lot of questions that we can ask to get to know the client a little bit more in depth. And so that survey is getting to know them a little bit more, how they'd like to be communicated to by phone or email. You know, how long they anticipate being in the purchase business or the purchase transaction. Do they anticipate buying in the next 30 days or 6 months? You get to select your questions if you'd like. Now, keeping going on here, riddles and questions, those are more of the emails that come out. And so when they actually answer those, number 1, they're engaging. They're engaging in conversation without you having to call them every time. Now, the phone calls, of course, are reminding you to call about every 3 or 4 emails or every 3 or 4 weeks. That's healthy. That's very, very healthy. So the thing that here's the one thing that we're doing for your agents, along with, of course, following up with your clients, is we're co-branding. In the footer of those emails, those 15 emails, if you have a buying agent already associated or referral partner you want to co-brand with on this particular client for a purchase or even a refi if you wish, you can have it co-branded with them. That's effective stuff. That's effective communication. Now, the agent's not going to get the actual email because it's going to the client, but the agent should know when you're presenting that presentation book, Adopt My Mortgage Strategy, that you're going to co-brand within your prospect drip emails. Okay? How are we doing so far? Is that effective stuff? So, okay, real quick, just to let you know, how do I know when to call them? Because I use Outlook Calendar or I use Gmail or whatever. Well, if you're using an effective follow-up system that it's littered with emails, maybe even tasks, or meet that client, so you have different periodic things to do during that campaign. For instance, the phone call, right? So we're going to remind you by email to call that client. So it's a daily email that comes to you letting you know which clients, my son's name is Colin, I'm looking at a picture of him, which clients to call for the day. Is that effective stuff to you as well? I think so, because a lot of us don't check our system calendars, and we don't use our system calendars as much as we want. So having something come to you by email telling you what to do, I think that's effective. Remember, I'm presenting what I feel is effective, what I see works across the nation to others that are using it and implementing these. So whether you do it or not, it's up to you. But, boy, having that stuff at your fingertips is pretty nice. You can work remotely. Again, I'm talking about this email. Take a deep breath. All right, stage 3 of the customer life cycle, in process. So let's give you a quick story about Seth. Some of you may know Seth. The problem, and I don't know if it's a problem because 2 loans is great. However, his loan amounts were a lot smaller at this particular point in his career. So he could barely afford the basic account with us. So it was a little difficult for him to, move forward. But he saw the potential, and he took the baby steps to learning our systems and understanding just the basic stuff, the set it and forget it stuff. But then he goes, you know what, guys, I want to know what I can do, what I can effectively do to get in and get more business, especially purchase, because I see the potential there. We gave him the solution. It's called the in-loan processing campaign. Once again, a lot of you probably already are doing something like this, maybe not as dynamic. So let's just show you what the results are after a year. The guy's doing 10 loans per month. Purchase business went from 25%, yeah, well, 50% is 1 and 1 back in the day. Now it's 75% purchase business, and his average loan amounts increased by $150K because he aligned himself with different agents, different people that he's been trying to focus on for years, but couldn't get in to see. So what is it? What is this system all about? And I'm going to attempt, hold your breath on this one, Eric, I'm going to attempt to take you into the system for just a moment here in about a minute and show you what this looks like live. And I think it'll work out fine because I do it on my end on GoToWebinar all the time. So you're going to customize your own origination workflow. And a lot of you have your own perfect loan process, right? So once a client gets into the transaction, so they go through application, you get their borrower docs, you get the appraisal order, and you see what I'm saying. Those are all milestones in a transaction, right? And you have your own way of doing business. Sometimes it's a little bit different for FHA or for BA or USDA. So maybe you have a couple of different workflows. I don't know. I'm just recalling a few perfect loan processes that I remember back in the day when I tried to duplicate those, and I just couldn't do it because I was just a one-man show, and I couldn't effectively communicate the right way. So I don't know if you recall or know what I'm talking about, but let's just move forward. So we're going to get that client into a pipeline. And then for this purpose, it's just for marketing to them. It's not to, not for an underwriter, or it's not really, well, it could be used by a processor, but our pipeline management screen gives the loan officer the opportunity to market to those involved in the transaction, right, when they hit a milestone. So once Kenneth Cole, the client here, reaches the application stage, we click a button. And what is generated is a dynamic video about that particular status update, and it goes out to everyone involved in the transaction. Without me having to really demonstrate it more on this slide, let me just show you how it looks live. I'm going to hope that I'm still logged in. So
you're still doing good.
Good, man. I love it. Thank you. Logged in and ready to rock. So let me show you how it looks when we send an email to the borrower. And notice all the things in the video. Notice how it becomes dynamic. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Here we go.
Congratulations, and thank you for entrusting us with your business. Together, our uncompromising goal is to exceed your expectations every step of the way. In that spirit, our team will be in touch frequently throughout the process. We've conducted an initial review of your application and are ready to initiate the most critical stage of the mortgage process. We call this the documentation stage. And during the documentation stage, you are far and away the most important player on the team. As quarterback of the documentation stage, there are a few critical documents we'll be asking you to hand off as soon as possible. These documents will include W-2s, tax returns, bank statements, paycheck stubs, and finally, your fourth grade report card. Actually, we're kidding about the report card, but if you are self-employed, documentation may vary. We'll be in touch with alternate instructions. For a more detailed list of documentation requirements, please click the Doc List button.
All right, I'm going to stop it there just for time purposes. So that is about a 2-minute video. We have a total of 6 different videos for different statuses within a loan transaction within our system. Certainly you can create these. As a matter of fact, a lot of you have probably created videos in your past, but maybe they weren't specific to the borrower. As you can see there, this is the borrower's name is Michael Test, right? And there is his name several different times. Actually, I think it appears 7 times in this video. So that's one-to-one communication. Let me go back in time. And let me pause right here and just show you. Here's, if we're tallying up all the different strategies to help you earn more purchase business, here is our top way, I believe. Now, you can notice that we're co-branding with the buyer's agent and listing agent. And what we see, without having to show you a bunch of emails and testimonials from our LOs across the nation, maybe some of you saw me present in Las Vegas and showed you one of our testimonials, but the listing agent is connecting with the loan originator saying, wow, never have I had this communication before. I love it. My LO doesn't do it. I want to learn more. Kind of takes you way back to when we bring the Realtor Presentation Book and the Adopt My Mortgage Strategy and the Prospect Drip campaigns to their attention to show them what else you do, right? So it's all starting to come clear now. We're co-branding in this video, and we're really trying to effectively communicate to the client here what we're really accomplishing. And we're really opening up those floodgates to accomplishing effective communication and marketing to those involved in the transaction. That is awesome stuff. Now, what you see down here, just so you guys are aware of what you're seeing, this blank white space is where you would see your disclosures. This thumbs up tab is really kind of cool. It's only a live link for the borrower, and the borrower has the ability to give a thumbs up to those involved in the transaction. So if they give a thumb up to the agent. So what happens is they click on the link, they see our smiling faces with a thumb next to it, they click on the agent thumb up, that agent also gets an email letting them know that they're having a great transaction. So yet another touch during the transaction to let them know we're doing it right. That's pretty cool stuff. Let's get back into the slides. So again, we have different status updates to go through. We have, like, for instance, the mortgage survivor, which is the approval video, loan closed, clear to close. There's 6 different videos associated with it. How are we doing so far? Okay, I think everybody take a deep breath and move on to stage 4. Quite a bit going on here. Stage 4 is client. So this is a gut check. A lot of us are going to have clients that forget our name, and it could be just simply days after the transaction. That's not effective communication or marketing. So how do we do it? Well, we have a 24-touch campaign, again, incorporating one-to-one communication with the client. You can do this. You can send out cards. You can send out emails, post, close if you wish. I'm just showing you ours, just a few pieces. Thank you card to the client, a referral partner satisfaction survey. That is pretty sweet, so you get that information back from your referral partner who you're co-branding with. Now here's the kicker. Again, we're tallying up all of the things that we're doing for agents and getting more purchase business, but here is a great way to show them more value that we're going to co-brand on the 24 pieces that go out by direct mail with the agent. That's effective stuff. So I think we're on number 5 in the top ways of getting more purchase business. Let's show you number 6. We send out a weekly report email to you once you're become a client, so you can see what touches are going out to your client. But here's the big thing. You notice how we see industry partner. Here's where we go one up. So we communicate with your agent, letting them know what correspondence was sent out on your mutual behalf. I'm assuming a lot of us opt our agents into drip campaigns. Maybe they didn't opt themselves in. You opted them in, on your own. I've done it, right? And we send this content to them on a monthly basis. And I urge you guys to read that content before it goes out to them, because if you're not reading it, I'm assuming they may not either. I just think this is effective communication because it's telling them about a mutual client. Okay, this is where I got the most referrals when I was doing business, was showing them that we're going to communicate during the next 5 years what correspondence is going out to the agent. They're going to get reminded periodically that there's something going out to our client. That's effective. Are you starting to see the Adopt My Mortgage start coming back into play here? The more stuff we do, the more stuff we follow up with our clients, the better. Let me show you more. Stage 5, which is raving fan. Again, double gut check. If you don't follow up with your clients effectively, they're going to use somebody else. We don't want your competition being the person with the red tape around their chest. So we're going to upload past clients and do a lot of things for them. We're going to find opportunities for you. And let's just show you what those might be. A rate alert, you might be used to this. You might have a system that does rate alerts for you. Cool. This is what we do as well. A rate alert comes to you by email letting you know that maybe your borrower can do something. We may not see a lot of these coming in the future due to the fact that our rates have slightly gone up, right? So this is something that's pretty effective. So as rates go forward and go up, if they will, well, I'm assuming sometimes people are going to want to sell their property, maybe a property they purchased back when prices were a lot lower. So you're going to get notified every time a client lists their home for sale. That's effective stuff. Now, if you helped a client purchase with Mr. Agent, and Mr. Agent is not the listing agent on the sale, well, that is an opportunity to take the just listed alert back to that agent and say, you haven't been working with me effectively. We haven't been effectively communicating to our mutual clients over the past few years. So going forward, we won't see the just listed alerts with a different agent on them. Those just listed alerts are going to be with you. Does that make sense? I think it does. If it doesn't, let me know, and you can communicate with me after or at the Q&A. But that is effective communication to an agent. But it's not the top strategy because it's more for you to develop. Well, it is for both of you, but it's mainly for you because if you get notified of a client listing the home for sale, you better implement on that. You better call them and see if you can, do the purchase business going forward. And perhaps they're moving to a different city or state where they require a different agent to help them buy. Maybe you can forge a new relationship with an agent by bringing them a pre-qualified prospect client, whatever. Okay, now I'm getting excited. So we're going to add more value. So here's where I have to show why we're adding value to the agent in the Adopt My Mortgage strategy. Because once they give us their past clients, their people that they worked with and we didn't do the loan on, we're going to get rate alerts, just listed alerts, and the client is going to receive a monthly recurring email as long as we have pertinent information about their loan transaction. Maybe we didn't do that transaction, but okay, let's say going forward we will. They're going to get a quarterly mortgage checkup from you, letting them know if they can do something or not. So we assign a traffic light to their situation, red, yellow, or green, and the verbiage within the email changes with whatever light they receive. So red light, sit tight, yellow light, let's talk, green light, go. That's effective stuff, but it doesn't talk about what rates are. It doesn't give APR, none of that. It's just letting them know that there's an opportunity. They should probably act or sit tight. Sitting tight is actually, you'll get a lot of people appreciating you for that. Here's something. Who doesn't want to know what's going on in their neighborhood as far as activity goes with value of homes? So here's a neighborhood activity that we provide. Show this to your agents. You're going to give their clients a quarterly checkup as well as a neighborhood activity report quarterly, letting them know what's going on around them. That's effective. I got a lot of people calling me saying, wow, my neighbor is selling his or her property for a lot more than what I bought mine for just a few years ago. I want to talk about possibly selling my property. Ding, ding, ding. Call that agent back up and say, we got a prospect back on the line. Here he is. He's coming back to you, Mr. Agent. There's a lot of great ways to use our system, and most people use the surefire set it and forget it mode because they don't have an opportunity or they don't have quote-unquote time to get in there and implement these additional strategies. That's okay. You're going to certainly gain something from the rate alerts, just list alerts, monthly recurring emails, and the post-close follow-up. You can simply just set that stuff in motion, and it's automated. It's just ready to rock. But you can take it a step further and do one or more of the strategies that I've shown you today, either on your own or with our system. Now, here's number 7. And I'm not asking you to read all this, but we provide content, like I'm sure a lot of vendors do, on a monthly basis for your partners. Real estate agents being the one we're focusing on today. So how can we make our content that's delivered to you slightly different? How can you alter it or make it more effective? Let me show you. Again, I'm hoping I'm still logged in. Let me get rid of it.
You're doing great, now.
All right, man, thank you. Sometimes my system times out, so I want to make sure I'm logged into my system. So thank you, Eric. So, okay, so here's an email blast. And again, not trying to walk you through the how-to here, but, in this case, I'm wanting to do an email to a bunch of agents. In this case, it's the monthly email content that we create. And see, this is basically an editor. So here's how the email looks in edit mode, obviously not in finish mode. But here's where I would alter this content. I would read it, and I would find out what these articles are. See everything that's in blue? These are all hyperlinks, by the way, to different articles. So number 1, I want to test it and view what those articles are to make sure I like them. And maybe I can edit them and change them. Maybe I even wrote an article on the subject in my own blog or my own website. I can replace the link with my own. But here, I live in Temecula, California. And so if I'm sending this to a bunch of agents, buying still cheaper than renting, they probably see that stuff, and they may see this same content from multiple loan officers or similar stuff. And I know for a fact how I read emails and view them. I view them on my smartphone. If I like them, I click through and I find out more. If nothing catches my attention, what do we all do? We delete almost immediately. And so I'm assuming if you're doing it, they're doing it too. So I'm just going to take a little bit of an initiative here and say something like this: buying still cheaper than renting in Temecula, or something to that effect. That way, it's a little bit more about, whoa, I'm in Temecula. Now, I used to have coastal agents and horse property agents. Coastal agents are selling a condo on the beach. Horse property agents in Temecula are selling 10-acre properties. Completely different sets of values and different sets of way of marketing to their clients, and different clients for that matter. So we may need to send this type of an email in different modes to different types of agents. Now I'm getting a little deep on grouping and putting agents in different areas and different subject groups, different dynamic or static groups in your database. Whoa, that's way more intermediate and advanced stuff. But we could talk about that another day. But getting something more effective like that, it's not quite evergreen, it's not your own content, but at least it's altered enough to be unique. And that's what we're trying to get after. So there's number 7. Like raving fan, constantly adding to the relationship post-close, post-client relationship with the agent is providing them good information consistently. Now, we can go on and on about, okay, do you send them a monthly email? Do you do an email one month? Do you meet them the next month? That's up to you. We have the content available to you, and I'm sure a lot of vendors do as well. Can you alter it? I don't know. But if you can, that's pretty effective stuff. Back to the slides. I know I'm going to run through this rather fast so we can get to Q&A, but this is effective stuff. I'm going to go into my bonus round. Because just to do a quick recap, we did all 7. Realtor presentation book. The value add to the agent's clients by Adopt My Mortgage Strategy. Co-branding as a prospect. Co-branding in the in-loan process. Co-branding post-close. Automatic notification of the mail correspondence. So once the post-close correspondence goes to the client, the agent is also notified. And number 7, the realtor email blast every month that's altered to meet their specific needs, and it's unique to them. There's 7 great ways. Okay? Now let's go bonus round, if you guys don't mind. Eric, just a quick check on time. How much time do I have so we give enough for Q&A?
Got about 5 minutes until we hit Q&A.
Woo! All right, bonus round is going to go super fast. It looks like we lost a few people because they just got so much good information. Now, some of you guys know 7 Levels of Communication by Michael J. Mayer. If you don't know the book, go out and get it. But this is one thing I took from him and have permission from, of course, to use in my presentation. It's called the Communication Pyramid. And I'm going to zip through this, and I usually have a longer presentation with this, but there's a lot of different ways for us to communicate to our agents, whether it's a flyer, which we would consider advertising, direct mail. You can certainly send a card to them and try to get their attention. You can certainly blast them with email. Hey, even send them a handwritten note and say, talk to me. Phone calls are pretty effective, but we don't like calls a lot, but we certainly do them if we need to. Going to events and seminars is a great way to meet people, and of course the one-on-one, getting in front of them, bringing the USP to them is certainly the best and influential zone that we want to be in. We want to get to that point. So I'm going to focus really fast. Sorry for the quickness here, but I think you're going to see some value in this. Let's just say we're going to create an event. And a lot of you guys do this, some of you don't. This may seem like a lot to you, but it really isn't if you have the right systems behind you to help. But let's just take, for instance, you want to have a lunch and learn with an office, like say a Remax Keller C21, okay? Lunch and learn event is what we're going to focus on. How can we inspire those folks, those agents, to get to our lunch and learn? I don't know. We got to get the word out somehow, some way. Typically, you get involved with the manager of the office and send them an email and ask them to send it to the agents involved, because you don't have all 50 agents' emails in your system yet. Matter of fact, you don't want them all in there. It's just spam them. You want the people that are going to the lunch and learn, that are actually engaging with you, to be in your system so you can effectively market to them after. So maybe there's a way to email to the agent's boss, and they can forward it out. Maybe there's an invitation by mail if you have an address. And, of course, there's a way to do it by flyers. All of those three things you can obtain within our system. But we're going to have a call to action to get them to register for this event. So I'm showing you briefly a form that we can create within our system. It's an RSVP form. They then register for the event. What happens once they do that is pretty insane. Pretty cool. So we're going to show that in just a second. But you don't have to have the form embedded on a website if you don't have one. You can have that form, that RSVP, in an email signature. For instance, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, would love to have you at the Lunch and Learn. Here's what we're going to teach. Click here to register. The click here to register goes to a unique URL, okay, its own landing page, so that they can then fill out that RSVP form. What happens after that? They're added into your database. They're placed in a realtor prospect group, because we're going to tell it to, and we're going to also enter that agent into a drip campaign. Isn't that effective? I think so. And so here's what's going to happen. Similar to the prospect campaign we did for one of your clients, we're going to put them on a couple of drips. And hopefully one of those emails is going to be a survey to get to know them a little bit better. So when they come to that lunch and learn, you've got some information on them. Ask them personal questions. How long have they been in the business? What are their niches? What's their biggest challenge right now? You see where I'm going with this? And if they actually fill that survey out, you get that information in real time. Diversify your communication, folks. No matter where you are, whether it's this particular strategy or others, use emails, use cards to do tasks like call them and invite them to coffee. Send them a book. Send them 7L. Send them something that resonates with them. If they like boating, send them an article on boating. I don't know. I'm just trying to get you guys so you diversify your communication to those people during that process of prospecting. So here's, like, for instance, that survey I was telling you about, getting to know you. That's a quick survey to ask. You can ask any questions you want. And get this, every time I do an event, whether it's for loan officers, agents, whoever, I send out a post-event survey to find out how I did, what they learned, what their takeaways were, and, of course, if I can follow up with them and get referrals. How's that? That was 5 minutes intense on a subject matter that is typically what I cover in about an hour to a 90-minute demonstration. So if you're a little bit spinning, your head's spinning, well, let's just look at this and focus on this as a takeaway. The 7 levels of communication. We want to get to that influential zone. We need to funnel those people into one-on-one meetings so we can get in front of them to get more business, to show them the 7 top ways of getting more business, not only with them but for our clients. So we're, in a sense, I'm inverting this pyramid to show you we need to funnel from whatever pieces we're using to get them and to inspire them to act, to get to that one-on-one meeting so you can show them your great rate, great smile, great service, and also your USP. So if there's anything you can take away from this, I've got 1 minute to cover this. Normally this is a 15-minute exercise, so I'm going to cover this in 1 minute. I suggest once we get through to the end of the slide, you take a picture of it or screen capture it. Because this is the best thing I can ask you to do. Once you get into that meeting with them and you open with this, so Mr. Agent, what's your biggest challenge right now? And they'll answer, well, maybe it's getting new buyer leads, maybe it's getting loans through, whatever it is. And if you stop right there and give them solutions like, well, you should try this or you should try that, and they'll immediately say, well, I have tried that. Well, there goes your conversation. That diminishes the value. So just listen. What's your biggest challenge right now? Try that. So if you were writing this down, you're going to take a picture at the end. This is the one thing I want you to take away. The next question, you listen to them and then say, well, what have you tried so far? Let them tell you what they have tried. Let them explain what trials and tribulations they've gone through with the things that their biggest challenge is, right? Now, once they complete that, don't react. Simply say, what are you going to do next? They may say, I don't know. Once you have that information, you might be able to provide them a solution or two. Hopefully, they're going to answer it for them, and you're going to work them through that challenge. And if they give that, what are you going to do next? You're going to say, by when? Hold them accountable. Everybody needs an accountability partner. So if you're in a presentation by Michael Mayer and he does this, you guys will be floored. By the time you're done with it, if you go through it and do it yourself, do it on yourself first if you can. Take a picture now, please. So I know it might be hard to learn. There may be a lot of stuff we've covered today, but I simply want you to look at it as a simple, like a push button, like those new cars that have the push button start. This is just have to push start and then just let it happen. Very simple strategies, but you have to actually do them. You have to actually implement. If you can do anything other than get that 3.5 most powerful questions in your system or into your desktop or on your phone, the next thing you might want to do is contact me. There's my email. I'll leave it up for about 30 seconds, and then Eric, you can go ahead and take over the slides. I think next is you.
If you want to go ahead and leave that up as we kind of get into the Q&A here. By the way, guys, thanks for the questions that you've been posting into the webinar platform. We probably won't have time to get through all of them today, but want to make sure that our coaching team follows up with all of you and get you the answers that you want to these questions. So please feel free to keep posting them. One of the first big questions that came up, and I think it's probably one that even if they didn't post the question, people a lot of ones are asking. Jonas, you've shared some great scripts and talking points of conversations today, particularly the one you talked about at the very beginning about the adopt a mortgage question. Yeah. Do you have the availability to share some of those scripts with the group, or if they email you directly, can they get your feedback or get you to send a copy of that script to them?
Absolutely. Do that. Instead of me trying to give them all, I think we'd want to hear some scenarios, and I will definitely walk them through. Matter of fact, what I'll try to accomplish, Eric, is if we get enough people asking for it, I'll put together an MP3 for you and just kind of do a role play on some of the scripts. How's that?
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Cool.
All right, the next big question is, you guys mentioned some of the opportunity-specific marketing. What do you guys see as some of the, in a purchase market like this, some of the best opportunities to connect with people who could benefit from buying?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Or asking them?
Well, I'm actually asking you. Of course, we could certainly. The question that came through was, where are those opportunities? Where do we find them? And I know that's something that everybody's struggling with. But I know your top of mind system does a pretty good job of highlighting some of those opportunities. So I was hoping you might have some.
For buyers? For buyers? I mean,
yes.
Finding more buyers. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that the opportunity lies within the agents who are out there scrubbing every day trying to find those folks. I mean, I think, the opportunity that I was trying to come up with in the beginning, the stranger danger, the stranger prospect situation, where we're trying to go after the agent to get their past clients. Because I'm assuming if you're going after an agent that's done business in the past, they have 10, 20, 30, 50 clients that they've worked with. Those are potential referral sources and potential clients for the future. Now, if they've purchased within the last few months, well, that's maybe not a prime suspect, but don't they all have friends? Don't they all have coworkers? And now if you're putting them on some type of really effective communication and co-branding with that agent along the way, even after the close, even after the loan that you didn't do, I mean, there's opportunities in that. The neighborhood activity report, number one, I mean, that right there, people share that with their friends and family all the time. So finding more people, that's the way to do it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go out and farm and do all these types of things, and then, of course, everybody else will say just pick up the phone. But finding an agent, I think the reason I brought up, has everybody done a purchase transaction at least in the last 12 months or 24 months? There's a potential referral partner that you can go back to. That's a warm introduction, hopefully, if they haven't forgotten your name. If they have, well, then remind them what you did. Here's the transaction we did together. And I'm assuming the majority of our transactions have a different listing agent, just assuming here. So there's 2 potential referral partners that have a sphere of influence and a database of people that we can effectively communicate to. Does that help answer the question, do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Jonas, for sharing that. And by the way, the survey questions, too, with your system or whether they wanted to create their own through SurveyMonkey, that's a great question to put onto one of those questions. You know, who do you know that could benefit from buying a home in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yes.
And maybe even giving some examples or story-based type suggestions. By the way, for those of you who are on the audience or regular participants in this program, you probably have begun to recognize that we've kind of shifted our focus here the last couple of months in this webinar series. Although we have been talking about for the last several years with our clients how to build and prepare for this shift from a refi to a purchase market, now we're in the middle of it, and how do we handle it, and how do we give advice and guidance to folks that maybe got caught a little bit with their pants down in this current market. So what we're trying to do here, guys, through the course of this series and through this webinar program over the next several months is transitioning to being able to give you guys tools, resources, materials, and guidance that's going to help you with being able to make that transition as quickly as possible so that you can get your business back on track and online. And so over the next several weeks here, we're going to be sharing with you a number of different tools and resources like this program that Jonas has shared with you, about tools that also are consistent with the theme of what last week's webinar about how to be an asset and resource to your partners. So Jonas, one last question that was in here is how do you open the door using these materials, or how does this type of a system, whether you have top of mind or not, having a systematic follow-up process in place, how do you use that to open doors with agents?
Well, that's a great question. I think if I didn't have a system like this, I'm assuming we all have some type of in-process campaign, or we have some type of status update that we share, or some type of unique product or niche that we share or we want to share with those out there. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Remember I pulled up that video, the application video? Let me just give you a quick strategy on how we do it, and maybe you can take from what you guys have as your unique niche or your unique program and put it into either a call or an email or a video. And so what I've done, and what a lot of our LOs do, is they put the agent that they're prospecting, into the video itself. So pull the picture from the web, put them in the video, send the video to them by email, ask them over and over again, have you muted, or call them. And once they do, most likely they're going to have questions. Now, I'm in California. Most agents have their faces wrapped around their cars. Realistically, they do. And so they love seeing their face. They love seeing the marketing. They love seeing the new ways and new ways to implement and get in front of their clients. That is a great way to prospect. So now take a system or a product or a niche or something that you provide and put it together in a simple email or a video, or put on a presentation if you can. I know that's a lot to ask, but you have to do these types of things to get in the door. You can't just walk up, give them rates, give them a couple of voodoo donuts, from Portland, and say, call it a day. You got to be a little bit more unique. In this way, I think just sharing that and getting your foot in the door. Another thing you can do, I think a lot of people utilize the single property websites that are out there. You can create a listing, like a website of one of their listings, or an open house flyer. Walk into an open house and show them, co-brand with them, or put their picture on it, or say insert picture here, this is where your face would go. I guess I'm trying to give a lot of different ways to do it, and I'm assuming some of you guys are trying these, and if it's not working, well, we need to maybe work on the scripts. So does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, we're running down to a little bit of time. There's one or two final things that I wanted to share with all of you. In this webinar program, we always promise that you're going to leave with a complete action plan, but I also want to give you some updates on some things. So make sure you stick around to the very end here, because we're going to have some cool stuff for you. But again, thanks, Jonas, on presenting the ideas that you've shared today. By the way, if you do want to go ahead and get a hold of Jonas here, I'm actually trying to get my slides to advance at the moment. My slide is not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Okay, finally. If you do want to go ahead and get a hold of Jonas to get any access to any of the scripts, tools, or survey questions that Jonas has mentioned to you that you could utilize in your business to help create visibility and attractiveness with agents, get your foot in the door and start talking to them about ideas and strategies that are going to help you combat the challenges you're finding in the market and your agents combat the challenges that they are finding in the market. Very much like Jonas shared the 3 questions from Michael Mayer, which, by the way, guys, Michael was on our series a couple of months ago and shared the same strategy. It is one of the most powerful things you can do to create engagement with true business development partners and use that as a tool and resource. Now, a big part of that is that final question, by when. We all know how easy it is to break promises we make to ourselves, or how difficult it is to make promises we make to somebody else. And it really is about creating accountability with those business development partners. What makes you unique? What makes you more valuable? How do you step out from the crowd of other agents, loan officers who are promising great service? Well, the challenge is if 99 out of 100 loan officers are promising it and 98 out of 99 completely fail to provide it, do you add credibility or destroy it when you associate yourself with all the other bozos who goof it up? Where you can step out of the flock and become the one outstanding, valuable resource to those agents is when you become the accountability partner to them. I mean, think about the top performers in the sporting world, for example, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzky's, and the Tom Brady's of the world. What did they all have in common that enabled them to achieve the outstanding levels of success that they did? Well, the answer was they all had somebody to hold them accountable, somebody who cared as much about their own success, if not more so, than they did, and who challenged them to continue to put one foot in front of the other and step towards a higher level of performance. Well, the reality is you can be that resource, that running buddy, that assessment, planning, and execution guide for those business development partners. Of course, if you're looking for something like that in your own business, you have the opportunity to get it through our coaching system. And a lot of you have been asking the question, what does that look like? Well, the Maximum Acceleration Coaching Program, what we do in the course of the one-on-one programming and group coaching programs that we provide to loan officers just like you, it puts you through an assessment and planning strategy where we're going to walk you all the way down to a specific action plan that your coach helps you implement step by step to improve your skills, your abilities, your strategies for growth. It comes with 12 one-on-one program sessions over a 6-month period. You believe in a high degree of accountability. You have a lot of access to your coach between sessions as well. And you can turn all those ideas around and provide the same kind of concept and idea to your business development partners. And many of you have been asking through the session what kind of results are potential here in coaching. Well, the best way we've found to help you understand the value of coaching is to actually experience it for yourself. Now, of course, by the way, you are going to be looking at making an investment here, because that investment is about growing your skills and abilities to achieve a higher level of performance. And that investment in your own knowledge, your own skill set, is the best investment you could possibly make. Because I mean, it's just like, when I first got into business back in 1997, I found myself in a really tough place. I started in the industry with a top-performing originator who had, been producing a lot of business, but I was his second junior loan officer. Our team was doing about 50 loans a month. Problem was, it was pretty much all refi business, and we experienced in late 1997 one of those times just like we've hit here in the last couple of months. We lost 400 basis points in pricing in a couple of days, and out of 66 loans in our pipeline, 43 of them vaporized overnight. And myself and another guy were out looking for jobs. When I finally landed someplace, the first thing I did is I started asking the question, who knows how top performers do it, and how can I get their training? And I made that investment. I don't know how I really afforded it, but the return on that investment, I spent $2,500 to go out to a week-long training program in Southern California. And the money that I've earned over my career since 1997, it would be incalculable what my return on that investment has been. So if you're interested and serious about taking your business to the next level, you're looking at roughly what works out to about $1,000 a month for a one-on-one coaching program. Now, if you're interested in being an accountability resource and partner for your business development partners, and you want to take it to another level and you want to find out how to do that, the best way we found to really engage it and get yourself the kind of support and guidance is understand what coaching is really all about. The best way we found to help people understand the value of coaching is to let them experience it through what we call a strategy session. It's a one-on-one coaching session with one of our maximum acceleration coaches. To take advantage of that, just go to mxlcoach.com/strategy and request one of those sessions, or you're welcome to use the Q&A platform here in the webinar platform directly to go ahead and take advantage of that strategy session offer. Now, we only have a handful of these sessions available each week. Our coaches are pretty close to full capacity right now, and we're scheduling them kind of on a first-come, first-served basis. If you are serious about talking to somebody about how to take your business to the next level, just reach out to us. We'll get one of those appointments scheduled. Probably the fastest way to get that scheduled is go ahead and post a name and a phone number and email address if you'd like one of these strategy sessions in the webinar Q&A right now, and that will get you set up. Beyond that, if you would like to find out more about our programs coming up, the next program in this series is going to be talking about boosting your purchase business by leveraging the do-it-yourself buyer. Mortgage loan originator and top performer Jim Sanger, along with Coach Brad Korn, who is a top-notch, top-performing realtor in his own right, are going to be sharing with you strategies about creating more listings, creating a lot more buyer opportunities by reaching out to the do-it-yourself or for sale by owner market, and how that, in conjunction with systems like what you've been presented with today, can be an extremely powerful way of generating a massive volume of additional buyers in a very, very short period of time. So the last thing that I want to share with all of you guys, by the way, if you're interested in registering for next week's program, I just posted a reservation link for next week's free webinar in this Maximum Growth or Maximum Performance webinar series. You can go ahead and jump to the link that is in your Q&A. We don't have a landing page up for this one just yet. Obviously, we've been making some on-the-fly adjustments to try and get you guys what you need in the current market to go ahead. And so we pulled down our webinar series. I basically redid our entire schedule of webinars over the next 3 months, and we're in the process of getting that refined and posted back up for you this week as far as the next 5 to 6 weeks of the series. But this next program is going to be a powerful program about how to reach out and find a lot of buyers for your agents. And of course, you're going to need a great follow-up system like what Jonas has introduced you to today to really maximize your performance of that program. All right, the last thing that I want to put in front of you is, that I mentioned at the very end of the program, we're going to help you take this information and put it into an action plan. Now, we wouldn't be doing our job as coaches if we didn't hold you accountable to something and help you create action. You've invested an hour of your time today to learn some great strategies about how to adopt loans, working with business development partners like real estate agents, and some great tips and tricks on how to build an effective top-of-mind marketing system. Now, you need to take 5 minutes before you do anything else, before you pick up your next phone call, before you respond to that email, and you owe it to yourself to invest a little bit more time here to put an action plan in place. So the first thing I want you to decide is, what was the most valuable thing you heard in this program? Maybe it was the reach out for the Adopt a Mortgage program, talking to agents about how to help them adopt the service of the customers that they've put in homes before, that their mortgage loan officer or the person who did that mortgage for them is not going to follow up with them. That's a powerful way of adding a lot of additional contacts to your sphere of influence and a lot of opportunities to the people that you touch and have an impact on. The second thing you need to do is to decide what that most valuable idea was, then decide what action do you need to take that part to make that part of your daily business going forward. What is the very next most important thing you need to do action-wise? What's the very next step? Just like Jonas shared with you, the Michael Mayer's 3.5 most powerful questions to generate referrals. What action? What's your next step here? What out of the implementation of the idea? So maybe it's reaching out to Jonas. By the way, Jonas, if you wouldn't mind, can you go ahead and post your contact information in the Q&A section or in the chat for everybody one more time so they can hop a link to you? Maybe it's reaching out to Jonas and getting the survey questions and the scripting for that Adopt My Mortgage introduction. Jonas, you presented it extremely eloquently, by the way. I'd encourage all of you who, if you jumped on the program a little bit late, I made a note to even go back for my own purposes and try and transcribe that back at about 8 minutes into the program. Jonas showed a very powerful introduction script that you all could use to be able to get realtors very comfortable with the idea of giving you their entire database. How powerful would that be in building your purchase business? Anyway, so once you've decided what the action item is that you're going to take, then decide by when you're going to have that action completed. Put a specific target date for completion, and then make the fourth final step, which is kind of the secret sauce of implementation, is find out who you're going to ask to hold you accountable. Now, if you need help finding an accountability partner, then we'd be happy to offer you that potential opportunity if you're interested. I mean, the reality is, guys, think about it from this perspective. Let's say you want to lose weight, and you decide January 1st is a New Year's resolution, you're going to start jogging a couple of times a week, right? Well, January 1st, maybe you don't get up January 1st and do it, we all know why, but January 2nd you get up to go jogging. January 3rd you get up, you're a little sore, but you do it. January 4th you get up, you're really sore, but you get up and you push through, maybe you don't run quite as far. January 5th you get up and it's cold and it's wet and it's nasty outside and you're just dog tired and exhausted and probably pushed it a little harder and a little further than you should have. So you hit the snooze button, you roll back over, and you don't ever get up and jog again, do you? But take another example for a second. Let's say you're talking to a buddy in your neighborhood at the New Year's Eve party, and he says, that's a great idea. Why don't we go do it together? He says, let's be running buddies, right? So January 5th rolls around, and you have no desire whatsoever to go out jogging, but you know your buddy's going to be on your doorstep at 5:30. Do you get up and do it? So the question is, who's going to be your accountability partner? Who are you going to use as a resource to hold you accountable, and who can you turn around and hold accountable in return? As you might have seen, there's a theme to this program over the last couple of weeks, and that theme will continue about how we pair up and become an asset and a resource to our business development partners, being that catalyst that helps them push through and implement strategies that make a huge difference in their business. And they can provide that for you as well. And, of course, if you need help finding that accountability partner or how to become a great accountability partner, we'd love the opportunity to help you with that here at Maximum Acceleration Coaching Company. Of course, with that in mind, if there's anything else that my team or I can share with you, feel free to. We're going to leave the platform open for just a few more minutes here. If you want to go ahead and post your request for one of the strategy sessions directly into the Q&A platform, feel free. Just go ahead and give us the best phone number and email address to reach you to get one of those appointments scheduled. Beyond that, if you would like more information about the Top of Mind system, Jonas has just posted his communication and contact information into the chat section of the Q&A. We'll make sure we leave that open so you guys can cut and paste that information or go ahead and click on the link and forward to it. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on future webinars of this series, and if there's anything else my team or I can do to help you with growing your business, feel free to reach out and ask, because that's our only goal, is helping you get from where you are to where you want to go faster. Otherwise, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to hop off here.